I played football, I think it was my junior year. We went not that far out, and when we got there, we went in as a team, and they know what locker room we're going in. They have to assign that for us. We went in, and there was just like racial slurs all over the board written in marker because they knew we were going in there already. I wish there was more of a conversation about it, like our coaches talking to their coaches probably, maybe after the game, because it didn't have to happen right before, but probably after, just an apology, a statement or something.
A couple of years ago, I was really noticing an increase in the number of incidences related to race that were happening in our school districts. When harm was done, we didn't know how to respond to it appropriately.
Racial harm is when an individual or a group of individuals are harmed or called names due to their race, their skin, or their ethnicity. It makes them really feel unsafe, makes them feel as people around them don't support who they are, and the environment becomes a very uninclusive, and our goal is really to be inclusive for all students.
Knowing that maybe my teacher didn't protect me, or maybe this hasn't been resolved, it's hard to go in and put on that face to be like, I'm ready to learn. When inside, you're upset, you're mad, you're feeling like, who is here to protect me? Who is helping me? When you're sitting in that kind of space, it is really a challenge to figure out, how do you learn? How do you ask for help? And how do you figure out the way in which to deal with the feeling you're feeling with, knowing that this doesn't feel good?
We can't do nothing to help our children until we, as a administration, district, get together and lay all the cards on the table, because there's a lot of bias going on. I mean, we can't sit down and try to talk things out because people don't want to have them serious conversation on racism. I seen it happen at my school. There was no kind of sit down trying to restore, you know what I'm saying, to show the kids. That's why kids are getting suspended. Let the record, we don't sit down and talk to them.
I invited several school districts to come together and to create collectively a racial harm protocol that they could take back to their individual schools, utilize their own independent policies and practices, but be able to take a template back that's being used throughout the Twin City area to address racial harm.
It's a response guide that helps guide administrative officials and really any kind of staff on how we can combat the racial harm that's happening in our school buildings, and the way to do that equitably and with integrity. And it also establishes like a follow-up procedure.
Being able to walk through the process, I think, is reassuring. Our goal ultimately is to educate people and help them have different tools and processes when they have an issue. When you get people down, sit them down, have a conversation, do some restorative work related to what happened so that they can understand each other a little bit better. That just reduces the chance that we're going to have continuing issues.
We have to hold people accountable for their actions, because that's what creates safety for our children. Accountability really does heal when you hold people accountable for that action. What we want to see is that action doesn't happen again.
So me, as a Black person, of course, like hearing that the school district is trying to do better and just trying to put these things into place, it makes me feel happy, of course. You know, everybody wants that. Everybody wants to feel inclusive. Everybody wants a place for them where they can feel like, oh yeah, safe and comfortable. So it really does mean a lot. We seem like we don't care about these things, but we do secretly.
I think this racial harms protocol has the potential to support students. For the longest time, I felt like maybe this isn't a problem that is very visible. If it's not acknowledged, then it's all in your head. So that step is like, oh, it's not just all in your head, it's actually a problem that we ourselves can see, and just validating our experience.
I think when you actually show that you want to do something, it matters way more. Like, we're going to write it down, we're going to make sure that there's a healing process behind it as well. You shouldn't have to deal with things like that and then just go on about your day.
You know, people are afraid to say, you know, that there is a racial imbalance here. because it implies that somebody is a bad person. How can we change the narrative to you're a bad person to you have some learning to do, you have some growing to do. And we can't do that growth, we can't do that healing unless we identify the problem. Otherwise, all we're doing around is trying to stamp out symptoms rather than the cause.
I think that's my favorite part of it, like the making sure they learn something. I think that's what's more important about it.
It's better to have more knowledge and just letting it be a mistake and actually learn like what was bad and good about it and how we're fixing it, how we're not fixing it.
We're going to have to focus in on the way we treat children. We're going to have to focus in on how we're communicating that information and what that looks like and sounds like. And we're going to have to be transparent and real about what's happening in our schools. And that's okay. We can't change or help unless we know what we're helping or changing.
I don't think that we are at the end goal time yet. I think there's revisions that can and should be made. But I think it's an incredible first step, and I think it's an incredible promise to our students to continue to better ourselves and get better. It is good that we have a response that needs to be done and followed and met with fidelity.
Let's see it done. Let's not just talk about it, let's be about it. Just learn, 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 learn. Don't let nothing stop you. It's not because of the color, nothing is before you, because that's something that they can't take away.